Hello and welcome to Talk Time. My guest today is Mr. Ranjit Barthakur, an industry leader who is the chairman of the Northeast Advisory Council of FICCI, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, a man whose interests range from sport to tourism and more. Mr. Ranjit Barthakur, welcome to my show.
Hi Wasbir, how are you?
Fine, thank you. You see, you are in the midst of what you call the Northeast Connectivity Summit. Connectivity is the word which we have been hearing for many years now, since 1992, when the Lookist policy was conceived by the government of India. Are you a happy man today at the way things are going on as far as connectivity of the northeastern region to our immediate neighborhood is concerned?
Am I happy? The answer is no. Talking about connectivity, I think it is history relived, because if you really look at it, we have to go back into time. In 1945, Assam was positioned in a much better situation because we never talked about connectivity.
Yeah.
Because connectivity was totally linked, meaning to the whole world. Assam built its tea industry, its oil industry through river links and road links. We were linked with Myanmar and we were linked with what is now Bangladesh, but then East Bengal. So
partition snapped the communications.
In fact, India's independence became Northeast dependence.
But how long can we talk about the region's isolation? Now, can we tell a different story that, India begins at its borders and Northeast is one of them, because we have 4,000 plus kilometers of international borders which we share with some of the Asian tigers, if I may use the word. So why can't we convert this location into a win-win situation for Northeast India rather than complaining about our isolation, quote unquote?
I don't actually believe that there is isolation. I believe that there is a way by which we need to get justice. Justice has a different way of delivery. What has happened is every bad situation has an opportunity. Firstly, let me just correct some of the thoughts. One is India has a border in the Northeast, and India, if you look at the mainland India, without the Northeast has only 22 kilometers connecting the Northeast. It has over 5,300 kilometers of international borders, which is the fourth region in the world. The largest borders of any state, country to countries, US and Canada, Russia and Ukraine, China and Russia, India and China, and Bangladesh and India is 4,000 kilometers. This is 5,400. We don't even have an office of the Foreign Office. If you do not have a foreign office, how are you going to look at connectivity? There's no people-to-people connectivity.
Very good point there, Mr. Barthakur. We don't have a foreign office. But what about an office of a ministry called donor, which is supposed to be looking after the northeastern region? The donor doesn't even have any office whatsoever anywhere in the Northeast. How do you say that?
In fact, I do not know if there could have been a parody with donor, but it actually is do not. I do not know about donor. It is do not anything to do with the Northeast. I do not believe donor or Northeast Council have actually contributed. In fact, there are layers.
They've outlived their utility.
I don't even believe there was an utility. I believe there are another hierarchy actually in the whole system of getting to the center. So
it's a very interesting point. I mean, are you indirectly suggesting that donor and Northeastern Council are adding to the bureaucratic red tape that is retarding progress, economic activity in the Northeast?
Completely. I completely believe that the entire process of donor and Northeast, which was intended to be good, was intended to shortcut, was intended to give 10% of all budgets to the Northeast, has in fact become a bureaucratic nightmare without any vision, without any delivery.
The moment the new government headed by Mr. Narendra Modi came to power, you of course welcomed it under the banner of the FICCI's Northeast Advisory Council. I will come to that, Mr. Barthakur. But the VK Singh, who was then the donor minister, he said that 13,000 crores of money the donor held on to it without utilizing or spending in the Northeast.
I'm not exposed to the figures, but at least
that's what he said. He was the donor minister. In his capacity as donor minister, he said that 13,000 crores of money was lying with donor unutilized.
I'm saying that I would go by what the minister says. I'm sure that the money was utilized. I can only go by the fact that no action has happened to the ground to the worth of say 13,000 crores. So I'm sure that it may be 13,000 crores and more, because 13,000 crores, if deployed, would have created a multiplier of minimum 3. So we're talking about 39,000 crores. So actually it is a real sort of challenge, and without meaning to be in any way derogatory, I think it's a challenge to the system of depriving the people of 39,000 crores plus 13,000 crores.
Now, while welcoming the installation of the Modi government or the victory of the Modi BJP and the installation of Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister, FICCI welcomed. Everybody welcomed. FICCI also welcomed, and you specifically came out with a statement highlighting the priorities for the northeastern region. You talked about highways, you talked about waterways, inland waterways, and you talk about connectivity in general. That was the thrust. My question to you now, as the chairman of the Northeast Advisory Council of FICCI, which is one of the country's leading trade and industry bodies, are you going to make a case before the new government that the Donor and Northeastern Council should be revisited, or there should be a new thought on these two behemoths, if I may use the word?
I believe any government which is in power and any prime minister that is leading our country ought to know about the Northeast and the challenges it's faced since its independence. I'm saying for us to actually make an appeal to the government is actually belittling the government. I believe with Narendra Modi's policy of looking after its neighbors, our first neighbor is Bangladesh. I'm saying without Bangladesh, there cannot be a Northeast policy. Without Bangladesh, there cannot be a Look-East policy. Without Myanmar, there cannot be a Look-East policy. Without Bhutan, there cannot be a Look-East policy. So our Look-East policy, unless integrated with all this, and all these countries must understand, our simplest highway was the riverway. And without the riverway, we are actually going by the byway. So I believe that the riverway must be restored. The single point agenda of any government must be to restore the river in two parts. One is we should start from Dhubri to Dibrugarh or to Sadia, a service internally. We cannot keep blaming Bangladesh.
The Brahmaputra was declared national waterways #2 in the early 90s.
Absolutely.
But till today, there has been no navigation, no survey, no basic infrastructure even has not been put up.
Absolutely. In fact, there are two private operators for tourism and they do well. Meaning they run tourist services in the Brahmaputra and they have been running very well. The thing is, equally, another riverway, we have got two national highways for two national waterways. The other one is the Barak River. I cannot understand why the Barak River is not being utilized. The cost of this river is 1/4. If railway is half the cost of, if not 1/4 the cost of roads, this is 1/4 the cost of railways. Look at the inflation that we are actually incurring. In fact, I believe that this is a human rights issue, that in 1965, that how did Pakistan dismember the river services and nobody has been able to say anything? Why has not India taken it up? Then we had a friendly government also in Bangladesh after Pakistan.
We were supposed to have a friendly government even now.
Even now. And I'm saying that we don't have the river. Why are we trading with Teesta? What does Teesta go with this? In the old days, the headquarters of the inland water system was in Guwahati. And all river systems of Bangladesh, then East Bengal, was actually managed and maintained in Guwahati. So I cannot understand why that should be. It is doing harm to 42 million people by stopping access of human system.
Absolutely. On that note, we shall go for a short break now, but stay on. When I come back, I shall continue my conversation with Mr. Ranjit Barthakur. Welcome back. I am in conversation with industrial leader and chairman of the Northeast Advisory Council of FICCI, Mr. Ranjit Barthakur. Mr. Barthakur, the vision document 2020, it says that when we reach 2020, the economy of the country will be, the GSDP will be about 87,500 rupees at 2006-07 prices. Now, if the Northeast has to reach that level, the region has to grow at 12.95%, that is 13%, which is a Herculean task. If we see the growth rate today, I think this is almost impossible. So what is the Northeast story in the days ahead, according to you?
See, I believe there are stages of any economic development. In the case of advantages and disadvantages, I believe India has to grow at the rate of 9% continually for the next 20 years to actually stay ahead of the world. So on an average.
Northeast story, we already know the Northeast story. It cannot even grow at 6%.
But the Northeast story actually is a very interesting one because of its low base. The growth rate of 15% and plus is possible. Our base is so low that actually to grow at 15% is much easier. So why should we in fact be worried? But how is that growth to be done?
Because we have no manufacturing here. What are we going to export?
We have to understand, in 1930s, when the Great Depression was on in the UK, the way they flipped the economy was through roadways and railways. We must understand the only way, if you have roadways and railways, that is the investment that will go in.
So I want you to explain things not just to me, but to my viewers, Mr. Barthakur. We have been, as I said in the beginning, we have been hearing about the Lucas policy. Now the new government has upgraded it, if I may use the word. They said act is, now is the time to act. Now my question to you, assume that tomorrow the roads are in place, the railways are in place. Let us have an optimistic view. The work is in progress. Assume that sooner than later it is going to be in place. And you are talking about the rivers, and let's hope that rivers are also in place. Now, how are we going to utilize this infrastructure? Now, are we readying the region for this? Are we building an entrepreneurial class? People here do not know the basics of foreign trade.
See, I believe
that is the basic.
Yeah, foreign trade is secondary to me. The infrastructure of 5,00,000 crores is what is proposed by the document that we have released today with the Chief Minister in this conference.
How are we going to utilize this infrastructure?
How are we going to utilize this? First is how are we going to utilize this is 2.5 million people over 10 years will be employed. 2.5 million people employed in the Northeast is a very big amount. It will be almost in construction sectors and its periphery. So once you do construction, there are people. Once there are people, there's food requirements. Once there are food requirements, there's retail requirement. Once that is requirement, there's transport requirements. Once there's transport requirement, education requirement, then there's healthcare. The multiplier is much more.
Agreed, but it's a temporary phase. At some point of time, the construction is going to be over.
No. So
how are you going to sustain that?
Yeah, what happens is when construction gets over, this medium and small industry actually gives so much fillip, it creates a new class of entrepreneurs. And that new class of entrepreneurs helps to utilize the entire connectivity.
When the roads are in place, are we expecting a manufacturer in Gujarat or Maharashtra to come by road and send their goods? Why should they do that? And if we have the roads, what is it that we are going to send out from the Northeast? Because nobody will come from Maharashtra, Gujarat or the mainland traversing the chicken snake and then take the road via Moreh.
The total consumption of goods and services in the Northeast imported is over 10 to 15,000 crores. So we must understand when we talk about people coming from Gujarat, firstly, the coming by road is a no issue. Yeah. They must come by ship. Yes. They must come to Calcutta port and come by the Brahmaputra, because we are a riverine civilization. They will come.
But why will they do that? Because they already have a river route. They use there's already
they don't use the river route because the river route to Assam is not there. So once you have a river route, and I'm emphasizing
they're using the sea route now.
No, so I'm saying use the sea route coming to Bangladesh. From Bangladesh, you'll use the river to come to Barak Valley and to Assam. So when you come there, the whole situation will be different because this will spread.
True.
This will spread the goods and services at half the cost.
True. You are aware, I am sure about it. I just returned from Dhaka, in fact, where I had talked to several important leaders and industry leaders in that country. They're saying that, okay, Bangladesh now, the Chittagong and the Ashugans and the Mongla ports, they're saying that we cannot even handle local domestic Bangladesh traffic.
Right.
And unless the infrastructure is built at a huge cost, and they're expecting India to pitch in, it's a competition between India and China. Unless those infrastructure are built, how do you utilize the riverine routes?
Of course.
Who is going to spend the money? Who is going to build those things?
That is true. And in fact, that one of the investment plans is to beef up Bangladesh. It's in our interest. A strong Bangladesh makes a strong India. A strong Bangladesh makes a strong Northeast. We cannot have a policy which is actually at the cost of Bangladesh. Most people are understanding that you invest money in the Northeast. If you don't invest in Bangladesh, we will not be able to take up the Northeast. That's a double strategy that the India has to use because India got its independence at the cost of East Bengal and Myanmar. So that is the duty that they owe the Northeast anyway. So there is no question about that.
But how do you change people's perception? Now, in the Northeast, the issue of illegal migration comes to overshadow any step you take to improve relations with Bangladesh. The issue of illegal migration, perception. Even the man on the street opinion in Bangladesh is also pretty much anti-India. Now, I hope things change because India also have to be extremely proactive. But who is responsible or who should change this perception? Do you think the perception is the biggest challenge in India-Bangladesh relations?
I think, Wasbir, to understand when Dr. Manmohan Singh and Wall went, they had the chance of their lifetime to actually correct this perception. Of course, the perception is actions also. If we had concluded TISTA, the land border agreements, if we implement this, the tide in opinion of Bangladesh will change. It may be at the cost of a minority situation. In terms of migration, I do believe that human beings are like water. They will go to wherever prosperity is.
Absolutely.
If we have porous borders and the government of India allows that to happen, or the state government, there is nothing that we can do. From a business perspective, to me, that is consumers, it doesn't matter because I'm not on the political side. If we beef up Bangladesh, the advantage is that they will not come. The advantage of giving more jobs in Bangladesh, more transit through, is that they benefit.
Absolutely.
The economy of Bangladesh through the riverine route will improve everywhere.
Manmohan Singh had the coalition obstacles. Let us hope Narendra Modi government is able to correct some of these situations on the ground. On that note, we shall go for another short break, but stay on. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm still in conversation with Mr. Ranjit Barthakur. Mr. Barthakur, what is your prescription now? We have talked about the potential of connectivity. We have talked about dealing with perceptions. You have said that you have made this critical point that Bangladesh, of course, holds the key as far as the northeastern region is concerned. But don't you think security is an issue that has to be a comprehensive part of the Lookist policy, and now so far been not taken into consideration except dealing separately? It's not dealt with comprehensively.
You know, security to me is a byproduct of something that is lacking. To me, security requirements are there. There are 2.5 million paramilitary, military, police forces, armed forces in the Northeast. That's a big amount of people to have security, point one. Point two, why do you need security? You need security when developmental alternatives are not there, when developmental alternatives are hampered. I believe the prescription for the Northeast is, first is connectivity, second is energy, third is education, and fourth is healthcare.
But we have, as I said, we have 60,000 megawatt of hydel potential. We cannot even build that 2,000 megawatt Lower Subansiri project because people are opposed to it. My problem is why the government has not been able to assure and convince those who have apprehensions. Why do you think so? And why are we not making feasible small dams about which people are not apprehensive?
Actually, Wasbir, if I may turn the question around, I believe the question is that what should be our energy policy? I believe our energy policy in the Northeast should be based on hydro, one.
Yeah.
Two, I do believe that it is possible to have run-of-the-river projects. Sikkim has already proved it. Thirdly, this proof has already been done in projects that India has supported in Bhutan, meaning Chuka 1, 2 and 3 are all linked to that. In fact, I believe that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Bhutan was a very strategic one, because if we can secure 17,000 kilowatts of power there, the Northeast problem in the short run is over before we handle the issue of 60,000 kilowatts. I do not believe that we should actually manage the situation of talking about 2,000 kilowatts challenge. We should talk about how do we deliver the other 58,000.
That's true. I mean, due to shortage of, I would have loved to carry on this hydel issue with you, Mr. Barthakur, but due to shortage of time. You see, I mean, unless there is manufacturing, don't you think that in today's scenario, manufacturing holds the key? And as far as the Northeast is concerned, how long can we wait for big business houses to come and open shop? Don't you think that small and medium enterprises holds the key?
I do not actually subscribe to that view. In fact, I believe this is a model that was promoted after the Second World War by America and all the developed countries to say the lower the agriculture quotient, the higher the manufacture quotient, the better it is. I believe the world has changed. The biggest advantage the Northeast has is the service sector. Our people are attuned to service. Our people could be the repository of actually education and services. So we do not need to actually have manufacturing.
But service sector has also not picked up. We have no BPO activities here.
That is correct. So one of the focus is that actually we should actually focus on the service sector with better IT connectivity through Cox's Bazar. It goes back to Bangladesh. If Cox's Bazar gives us the right connectivity, the BPO sector, all of Delhi, Bangalore, the people and
the broadband connectivity from Cox's Bazar.
So that will all come here. So that is the IT sector. Second point, sir, I just want to finish that question. Second point, I think in terms of manufacturing, we have the first made in India products that ever went out of the country were actually in Assam. We had the first tea industry here. The tea industry was made in India, made in Assam. Second, we had the first oil refinery in India.
No, true. That is history. I mean, we cannot just hold on to history and sort of, hope that that is again going to cash in on that. But now the things have changed. Now, my question to you, Mr. Barthakur, is this: where is the problem? Is it the political leadership? I mean, I'm not bothered about which party is in power. Is it the political leadership or lack of political will that's a problem in the northeastern region?
I think it's a lack of imagination and a disruption in the current thinking. The current thinking is an extrapolation of what they do in America or Delhi or Gujarat or Maharashtra. The Northeast needs a different formula because capital formation in terms of private sector other than the farm sector is very low. And therefore, I want to come back to this point. Our manufacturing base was in fact number 2 in the country in 1947. History is important. Why have we lost it? Because of connectivity. It comes back. You can never be a successful connectivity region.
Yeah, true. It is near almost now going to be 70 years since we lost that connectivity.
Correct.
You don't require 7 decades to reverse a particular situation. As you know, I mean, like in my interview with Mr. Ratan Tata, he said that Indian trade and business have also neglected the northeastern region. Do you agree? I mean, because they don't come beyond Calcutta.
I completely agree. I don't think they've neglected it. They have actually made
it's
profit.
It's not in their consciousness.
No, they have made profit out of it by sending and not manufacturing. So they're sending goods because we have 42 million people. Look at Guwahati, the roads, the shops, all their goods and services from retail to vehicles. Everything is Indian products. So in fact, they have actually
Can this trend be reversed?
I think
or is it practical to expect the industry to come here and manufacture?
Unfortunately, I'm very focused in what I'm recommending and very humbly submitting for the Northeast, that you have to get 3 stages right. You have to get your connectivity. Concurrently, you need energy. Thirdly, you have to build a very good education system, which we already have it. And fourthly, you need a good healthcare system. This will feed off each other.
So, connectivity, healthcare,
correct.
Education,
correct.
And what is the 4th you said?
Connectivity,
education, healthcare,
energy,
connectivity, education, and healthcare.
Correct.
That can change the Northeast story for all times to come.
Provided we have a plan, irrespective of political parties, with deadlines starting from now.
Starting from now, deadline that can alter the Northeast story. On that positive note, Mr. Ranjit Barthakur,
thank you.
Thank you very much for being on my show.